Because the Arabs used to call both the river and the sea with the term al-Bahr. And al-Bahr is a term that means vast expansion of water body.
So it's just a lingual
lingual difference, more than that, yes.
Dr. Zaghlol, this verse comes in a very important surah, Surah Al-Furqan, which is actually the name of the Holy Qur'an, and it means the difference between truth and falsehood. So do you think this verse has been placed from within this specific surah for a certain reason, maybe an indication of the barrier or the separation or the difference between the truth and falsehood?
Yes. You see, in as much as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the Qur'an, the name word Al-Furqan means the thing that differentiates between what's right and what's wrong. And in as much as these barriers separate fresh water from saline water, or fresh water from brackish water, or brackish water from saline water, the Qur'an is doing exactly the same thing in our lives, distinguishing truthfulness from falsehood, distinguishing a true religion from false one, distinguishing what pleases Allah from what displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it comes beautifully in context in a surah called Al-Furqan. Al-Furqan, the thing that differentiates between what's right and what's wrong.
And the analogy is done in a sort of form because, you know, you mentioned that there are a couple of reasons that making the barrier between the sweet and the sweet and the salty water, but they tend to be very close to each other, while the truth is really on the right side and the falsehood is on the left.
But you see, again, you can find lots of gray areas. And we are forbidden to indulge into it, you see.
Yes.
The Prophet used to say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-halalu bayyin wal-haramu bayyin wa baynahuma umur mushtabihat.
Yes.
So you can get this gray area between what's truth and what's false. And a Muslim is asked not to indulge into these gray areas because it can lead somebody astray.
If I could summarize the reasons for this barrier, you mentioned at the beginning the high speed and rushing of water from a high inclined area to a low sea level, and the other one was the density. The density, and the third, I guess, is the difference in the ionic difference.
And then the ionic difference.
So these are the three main scientific reasons.
And also we have a sedimentary barrier.
Yes, the one you exactly.
In as much as a river can build a delta on land, it can build a delta, a submerged delta, and this submerged delta also plays a role, you see, in preserving the fresh water away from the brackish and saline water.
So if we can explain the creation of deltas itself, how it was created.
Delta is mainly created by the amount of sediments carried by the flowing river. As the river flows from a high head to the sea level, of course it has got a highly erosive power, and this power breaks the rocks on the way, and that's why it cuts the passageway of the river. And during this process of cutting down, it fragments the rock into a sediment, into loose material. And of course, as the speed of the running water decreases towards the sea, it started to deposit, and that's why a delta is formed.
It's great. Okay, any further questions from my brothers?
Islam, of course, is all about unity. One God, He's the one who created everything. So about the rivers, fresh water in the ocean, it could be the same as is it the same idea maybe as the wind? There's some winds that, like a river, but in the wind, some wind going this way, another one going this way in the wind, like the river.
Yeah, and actually if you see the direction of the wind around the globe, you can see an image of the wonders of the creation, because every type of wind is playing a certain role on the surface of that planet. In exactly the same way, every type of river is flowing in a direction, either from south to north, or from east to west, or from west to east, and then it's fragmenting the rocks, producing the soil, concentrating certain minerals, and dissolving some of it, increasing the salinity of the ocean and the sea. So it's really a very, very well planned and very well organized system that was designed for the benefit of humanity and for a better life for man on the surface of that planet.
And it doesn't change that much, only minor changes. But
Only minor changes unless man interferes.
Aye.
And if man interferes, he ruins everything,
Aye.
spoils everything.
So, Doctor, is it possible to have new rivers created?
Definitely, because this is a continuous process. Nothing stops it until the end of this world. But the process is so slow that nobody can observe it in his lifetime. We may see today some small tributaries that can develop through time into a river, probably in the future. But as I said, it's a very, very slow process, because it's not an easy task to cut down the channel for a flowing river. It takes millions of years, breaking rock into soil, carrying that soil, flowing towards the sea, and once it reaches the sea, it has to start building a delta. So it is a tedious, complex, and steady process that needs lots of energy and needs lots of time at the same time.
Also, you mentioned during this episode about using the salinity of the water itself in the oceans, it's possible for human to find out how old is the Earth.
Yes.
So is this a lengthy process also, like the one you mentioned? Does it take a lot of time? Would we as human experience it?
Oh, yes.
And feel the difference?
Oh, yes, it has been experienced. You see, we know the volume of the depressions that constitute seas and oceans. We know the amount of water in the seas and oceans. We know the average salinity all over the globe. And we can measure the increment, the annual increment in that salinity. So it's a very simple process. It doesn't give a proper age for the Earth, but it needs an approximate age for the formation of seas and oceans, which is it was used in the past before discovering radioactivity and using it as a means of determining the age of rocks and the age of the Earth and the age of the universe at large through meteoric bodies that come down to us. This process, the salinity of oceanic waters method, was used to give man a rough estimate how old is the Earth.
Yes. So 10 years ago, if we took a little bit of ocean sea and we put it on the tip of the tongue, you'll find a difference.
Oh yeah, You may not feel it through the tongue, but through chemical analysis, you will definitely prove it.
Right, this was very informative. We thank you very much, Professor of Geology Zaghlol El-Naggar, for being here with us. It was a pleasure to have you with us at Huda TV.
Thank you.
I'd like also to thank my brothers Abdul Halim Khalil and Abdul Rahman Ismail for being here with us. Thank you very much. With this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of Quran and Science. Thanks for watching and see you in the coming edition. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.